Another Canadian journalist has been kidnapped, this time in Pakistan. Khadija Abdul Kahar publishes the website Jihad, Unspun in British Columbia. And as the CBC's Chris Brown reports, Kahar was seized at gunpoint by unidentified armed men.
My name is Khadija Abdul Kahar, and I'm a Muslim who came to Islam as a result of the events of 9/11. In my former life, my name was Beverly Giesbrecht. I hope you will come with me on this journey in my endeavor to understand who the true Taliban are.
Steady, nice. I remember her speaking of being 6 or 7 years old and waking up one morning and she couldn't walk. And she didn't know why. Of course, this was horrifying to her family and they didn't know what to do. So they took her to a doctor who then put her into a hospital for crippled children. And I believe she spent 3 years there. At nighttime, she would loosen the tensor bandages around her legs and then take them off. And she would try walking in her room when nobody was around. And the doctors who thought she would never walk again were absolutely blown away by this little girl. I think at a very, very young age, Bev realized that she could do anything that she put her mind to.
My life was never, ever going to be like anybody else's.
She was just that person that walked into the room that everybody noticed and everybody wanted to be around, or they didn't want to be around her because she was that much.
I'd done drugs all my life, and it didn't take me long to be also drinking in the same way. So I was selling advertising in high pressure places and going home and, belting back drinks every night. People put up with my alcoholism because I sold so well.
She was the life of the party, but it wasn't good for her.
I asked God to take it away, and He did. That's divine intervention. I didn't even believe in God.
Dr. Glenn Cooper, he had an office in a building in Vancouver where Bev had an office, and they both worked late, so they got to know each other. She found him very fascinating, yet he found her even more fascinating. And they became very close.
She's very attractive in this photo. Bev was a very sexy woman. It's the way she handled herself, the confidence that she had. She never took no for an answer, and she wasn't afraid of anybody.
Bev and I were best friends. We were business partners on occasion. We were an item on occasion. But what was constant throughout the 2 decades that I knew her is that we were very close friends. She was my buddy.
She was a copywriter, and we needed somebody that could do some advertising verbiage for our first website that we put together. Because of that, we got to know each other a little bit more, and she started doing all sorts of stuff for the company. She was extremely good at everything. I mean, I really admire the woman.
Lions Bay is a small community. Everybody knows everybody, but they hadn't seen someone like Bev. When she started entertaining, she quickly gathered a crowd, and parties at her place were becoming very well known.
Her occasions were quite beautiful and warm and generous.
She just liked to look after people and enjoyed it when other people were enjoying themselves.
Bev did try to integrate religion into all aspects of her life. It was the religion that she believed in at the moment.
She became very religious. She had a cross up at her house in lights.
She was getting very excited, as a matter of fact, about September 11th. Before we knew what September 11th would become, she was going to the aerospace conference in Seattle.
The aerospace venture was very exciting to her because now she was really into software. She began a process by where a web page would be set up so that suppliers to Boeing could use that web page in a consistent manner to do their bidding. This was a big a venture for her. It was starting to take off when 9/11 happened.
She had great hopes both professionally and for the outcome of that conference, and the rug was pulled out from her.
It basically shut down the conference, and her software was basically dead in the water.
She all of a sudden didn't have a business. The thing that she'd been working on for 3.5 years just disappeared and went up in flames.
She came back from Seattle. She found the lighted cross on her house crooked, tilted to one side, and that was a sign to her that her Christianity was misguided.
Our war on terror begins with Al-Qaeda, but it does not end there. It will not end until every terrorist group of global reach has been found, stopped, and defeated.
One talking head, another talking head would pass by on the television set. Osama bin Laden did this, no question about it, and we're going to go and get him. Good, I thought, let's get it done. Next thing you know, we're going to invade Afghanistan. What? Why on earth would we be invading Afghanistan? War means casualties. War means death. War means innocent people are going to be killed. So at that point, I thought, something else is going on here. And I started to research out what was really behind the war.
I couldn't believe it. I walked up into her loft, her office, and it was probably 6 tables long, probably 4 computers, television monitors everywhere, books, on Islam.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
It was very clear to me that the Muslims were the target of this war, and I really wanted to do something to help them. So I decided to set up the website Jihad Unspun. I did that as a Christian in order to give the Muslims a voice.
When they were going to invade Afghanistan, that just seemed okay to me. I felt that they were responding properly, but Bev took a completely different point of view, and that really surprised me.
Jihad Unspun was a very good-looking website. I mean, I totally disagree with the content, but the look of it was spectacularly good for its time.
She was trying to give an alternate point of view on the Iraqi war and 9/11. She was also trying to make this into a business. Ultimately, Bev is a businesswoman. She never had any money, so that she always had to have some source of income, and a business was always her source of income.
She began the website by wanting to present both sides equally, and it became more and more unequal over the time that she ran it. She believed, she found the truth on the Arab street, and it went deeper and deeper from there until her actual conversion to Islam.
She phoned me and said, I'm moving to Egypt. Can you come and help me out? Come and help me clear my house out. Let's have a big sale. Let's sell everything. I'm selling everything.
So I decided to take a big plunge. I moved my operation to Egypt and decided that I would get some knowledge about Islam. While learning to recite the Quran put it into my heart. There is a rhythm of the Quran that is unmistakably divine. Not only does it sound good in English, but it sounds even better in Arabic, and it has a natural rhythm all to itself.
That was heartbreaking for me. But it wasn't heartbreaking for Bev. It was a new chapter in her life, and she's just moving on. She did the move quite quickly and almost in a cold-blooded fashion.
I knew of Khadija before meeting her personally, and I knew of her simply because of her website, Jihad Unspun. It was a good place to access press releases, statements by militant groups, Iraqi insurgents, the Taliban, that were translated into English.
Ladies, you can go.
I hired Khadija for a series I made for Al Jazeera based on my book, Dining with Terrorists. She was hired to do two things: to get Islamist radicals in the Palestinian camps in Lebanon and the Taliban in Pakistan. In both senses, job done.
I just want to have my picture with him. Thank you.
She had an invitation to visit the office of Shah Abdul Aziz, who was a politician with his own private army of insurgents, and she took photographs of her in his office. She was quite proud of the fact that she was the first woman that was ever in his office.
I don't want to just make this a flat documentary. I want to live it, I want to experience it. I want to put aside all of my preconceived notions. I hope you will join me on this journey.
Khadija had shown interest in moving to Pakistan to sort of somehow report and work from there. She wanted to do a film based on Taliban women. And I felt that this was actually a promising potential film, an insight into a kind of hidden world.
She figured basically she could get the access to the group. Why does she need someone else to basically make the films? She can make the films herself. That was what she wanted to do. And on the face of it, it's not a bad plan.
You have 420 students here. Shah Abdul Aziz is a prominent local leader. He's a powerful man. Certainly has close links to the Taliban. She was going to be in his large house with the women and filming. So it didn't strike me as a particularly unwise thing for her to go there in the first instance.
Are the Taliban terrorists? Do they abuse women? Do they disrespect international law? What really do they believe? And do they actually carry out what they believe? These are the questions that we want to discover in this film.
That she hadn't quite grasped that really if you're working by yourself as a freelancer out in the Middle East in these sort of areas, and you decide with no backup to go to one of these places, you will be on your own. There is no help coming for you. I don't think she'd really put that thought into what if something goes wrong at all.
So I'm about to take a journey into the city of Carrick, then into Momand Agency to spend time with the Pakistan Taliban, and then across the border to Afghanistan, where I will spend time with the Afghanistan Taliban.
She wanted to know how the women of Taliban live and are they getting any education or not. So she was very much interested in filming the women and knowing their point of view about this war and knowing about how they live, how they dress.
I will be sharing with you exactly what I go through in my endeavor to understand who the true Taliban are.
Now, she was very ambitious, and I think she wanted, in a way, fame. She did see herself as someone who was able to bridge these two civilizations, someone who would almost kind of be a peacemaker.
To me, Khadija was very much inquisitive and very passionate about her work. She used to ask a lot of questions about Islam and Jihad from almost everyone. I mean, she told me that everyone knows about the point of view of the NATO and the West about this war, but nobody's showing the other side of the picture.
I've arrived in Carrick after several hours of an arduous journey from Islamabad to the city of Carrick and then to the household of Shah Abdul Aziz.
Khadija told me that Shah Abdulaziz had given his commitment of protection, and rather like a mafia boss in the streets of New York or Chicago. That kind of commitment of protection is gold if you're going to work in an area like the tribal region of Pakistan.
You are so pretty. Are you a son of Shah Abdulaziz? The women are extremely shy. They don't want to go on camera. This is partly rooted in the Islamic fundamentalism that they follow, where women should be confined to the house. They shouldn't be shown, publicly in any way. I am trying while I'm here to explain to them that this is not Islam. Islam allows women access to all sorts of things, and that women have rights to come and go as they please. Shah Abdulaziz has 2 wives. The first wife bore him only 2 female children. She has a broken tooth that has never been fixed. It is certainly not for lack of money. His second wife has borne him 2 male children, and she is much better taken care of. As a woman who grew up in the West, I find some of this really gut-wrenching, to be blatantly honest. In the village of Carrick this afternoon, the women are sleeping, but I'm headed into the city in order to go to the bazaar. Local women of Carrick wear the full burqa, but even then, you won't find women in the bazaar. This is an interesting concept indeed. I hope you'll join me for this journey to the bazaar, where only men are allowed.
We went to this bazaar in Kirk, and so many people gathered around her because it was it was a strange scene for them to see a woman with a camera in a bazaar.
Yesterday turned out to be a very frustrating day. After getting clearance from Shah Abdulaziz before he left, when we got to the bazaar, a brother changed his mind and would not let me enter.
They did not allow her because there are some fundamental groups who would probably snatch her camera, or she might be attacked, or there might be some issues of protection for her, some security issues for her.
Sir. The tripod holder. This is how we lose it.
मैंने सन 2008 से काम शुरू किया था और उसमें मैंने उनका खाने का सारा मैं बना के देता था और फिर उन्होंने मुझे कहा कि मैं तुम्हें साथ साथ कैमरा भी सिखाती हूँ कि तुम मेरे साथ कैमरे में भी हेल्प करो.
This just amplifies some of the difficulties that women have in this area. Their access to things that we take for granted in the West, like going to the grocery store, is something that they're pretty much prohibited to do.
I'll fold up the tripod. Fold it up.
And I have to get it one. Don't move it. It's all.
2-3 दफ़ा उन्होंने कहा भी था 2-3 बंदों के कि आप हमें उनसे बात करवाएं, हम ये इजाज़त नहीं देते. वो कहती थी कि जी कि ये इधर जो है ये सही नहीं करते, आज़ादी नहीं है, औरतों को पाबंदी में रखा हुआ है.
Well, I finally arrived in Peshawar. It was like landing on another planet, or certainly in a war zone, and I guess technically Peshawar is a war zone. Following 4 bomb blasts about 24 hours ago, 2 of the main power grids were sabotaged. That has left Peshawar in a total blackout. The situation right now is extremely unstable. Well, I am indeed very frustrated today. I've had a series of setbacks. The first being that our translator decided at the last minute that he was too afraid to move forward with us into Moment Agency.
I told her that I'm not going there because there are life threats there. They have kidnapped so many journalists and they have killed so many journalists in the past.
Well, we're finally on our way. We're on our way to see the third largest Mujahideen group in Khyber Agency. Just 2 days ago, the emir of the group, a very well-respected Mujahid, was killed in his hometown, inside his own madrasa, in a targeted killing. How close do you think the defeat of America is?
It is very near. It is very near to defeat, inshallah. But first of all, we want to destroy him economically. My message is for those all Americans, for those all non-Muslim, that live according to their own religion and leave us to live according to our own religion. There will be no fighting, there will be no war.
तो वो ये तो नहीं पता कि वो किस तरह का इंटरव्यू लेना चाहती थी, लेकिन वो सारे यही कहते थे कि जी कि ये अमेरिका जितनी भी है ये हमारे साथ जुल्म कर रही है, हमारे घरों में बमबारियां कर रही हैं, बच्चे मार रहे हैं, ख़वातीन मार रही हैं.
May the peace of Allah be upon you, and may victory be with your Mujahideen. And we pray for your Mujahideen and all Mujahideen every day. Victory or martyrdom.
Thank you very much.
ये तो मैं नहीं जाना चाहता था, क्योंकि इधर कोई बंदा ऐसा ज़िम्मेवार मुझे दिखाई नहीं दे रहा कि हम वापसी भी होगी हमारी कि नहीं. उसने कहा नहीं, मेरी गवर्नमेंट से बात हुई है, हम वापस आएंगे, तुम ना घबराओ.
Here we are on our way into Moment Agency. We're about 5 minutes away from the border. So here we go. This is the tense one. And inshallah, I'll be speaking to you from the other side.
They are standing and the road checks the traffic for in protection of the people.
Right.
But music, it is forbidden in our religion. Yes.
Let me get a good shot of this.
Ethical business in all the society, certain process.
So you search every car that comes through here?
Yes. Any traffic
Every
is
car?
checking.
Okay, fine. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, record. Are you actively fighting Americans? Is that what you're doing?
اسلام د پاره او اسلام د سربلندۍ د پاره جهاد کو کابه د امریکای سره وی یا بل ظالم قوت سره وی کار څوک وی.
And how many Americans have you killed?
دا یې پته هم ته لګیدل ګران دي ځکه موږ خو صرف مار اور باغو خیسه ده کنه.
Please tell my respected brother that I appreciate his very heartfelt comments. I pray to Allah and offer my dua that it is victory or martyrdom in this horrifying war against Islam. This morning, we awoke to the sounds of helicopter gunships firing very close to here. The Pakistani army is deployed not far from here, yet there is a great sense of calm and peace in this area.
They are propaganda against us that they are do not educated the women.
And they're studying right now Quran?
Yes, they are studying the Quran.
Alhamdulillah. Will they become doctors? Will they become teachers?
Yes.
Yes, so the idea is to get them into the workforce?
Yes. Yes, yes.
And these, of course, are the next generation of Taliban women. Alana Tayyab explained to me that they were poor people and they would appreciate some money in order to take me into this area. That's frankly left a bad taste in my mouth. If we have Milenas like that who are using every opportunity to secure money from Westerners, Islam is in a lot of trouble. This is just one small mountain between here and Afghanistan. We were actually semi-kidnapped today by one Taliban commander who did not like the idea that we were in his territory, and we have now been scurried out of the area. We are on our way back into Peshawar, where we will regroup and, inshallah, get back into the area in another few days.
We stayed in that guest house for probably a month with no activity at all.
जब पेशावर गेस्ट हाउस में थे तो बार-बार हमें ये नहीं मिल रहा था जाने के लिए.
She was really worried about the finances because she was spending money on staying there, but no activity was being done.
तो इसलिए मैं ये सारी अपनी गुर्बत के लिए कर रही हूँ कि मुझे ये गुर्बत ना मुझे दोबारा आए, क्योंकि मुझे एक दफ़ा आई थी तो मैं बहुत परेशान हो गई थी और मेरे पास पैसा नहीं है. ये जब मैं सारे इंटरव्यू जाके दूँगी तो मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा पैसा भी मिलेगा.
As I left Moment Agency, I really left with a heavy heart. I sat in the van with Wajiullah. He told me that I was one of the most incredible sisters that he had ever met and that he fully supported my work.
She thought she is on a mission. She thought that she has become a Muslim and she is pro-Jihad, pro-Taliban. So she would have no problem.
This is something that I have to do. These people mean something. They have a message. They have a message of believing in God that they want to practice. And they are honorable men who treat women extremely well.
She was determined to seek help from anywhere to meet these top Taliban and Al-Qaeda leaders. People who are wanted, people who were in hiding. She wanted to go to their place, wherever they were, and meet them. I had met Osama bin Laden twice. I had met Taliban leader Mullah Muhammad Umar about 13 times. She thought that I could also help her.
She believed she could find bin Laden, but he was believed to be in the tribal areas. I think in the back of her mind, she was hoping maybe that her contacts would lead to him, and she'd be a famous interviewee and making loads of money from selling the rights to the interview.
I told her that I can't help her because they will not like to meet you. They will be immediately suspicious.
I think that she was so desperate to try and get something that she could sell to Channel 4 or to whoever that she didn't really know when to stop.
She wanted me to help her to go to North or South Waziristan. And then I flatly refused. These are wild, lawless areas. The police has no jurisdiction in the tribal areas. I said, even I take care going there. Even I can face problems. But I will never recommend a Western journalist to go to the tribal areas without permission. I tried to stop her.
Ramadan very fine, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Very fine.
You have no translator today?
No.
Oh no, we have big trouble today.
She films him secretly. Did she really do that? Holy.
What I want to tell Shostak is that I'm renewing my visa for another month. I don't have enough to produce the movie. I need to get into Waziristan.
I am very...
He is very in trouble.
In trouble with what?
Yeah, from government side.
Government and other Taliban side.
And Taliban side.
Well,
They
this
don't
does...
believe that you are Muslim.
Is Shah Sab saying to me that he can no longer help me with my film in general?
Yeah.
Period?
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe she's agent of ISI,
CIA.
CIA.
FBI.
Yeah, I'm sure I am.
The message from Shah Abdulaziz was very, very clear. He had offered his protection to her until then. For all of us, that was the reason she went there. She was explicitly told that he was no longer prepared to do that. She should have got out of there immediately. That was basically him telling her, get out now.
I'm starting to get very offended, and I don't want to say that negatively, but I am tired of defending that I am a Muslim, because no one has done more for the Muslims, for the Jihad in 7 years than I have. So you see the situation from the meeting. Shah Abdulaziz Moshahid is no longer with us. You have to help me, Shah Sahib. You have to, because this is important. I will now have to search out other sources in order to carry on and get the inside story as I travel with the Taliban.
Shah Abdulaziz had pulled his protection from Khadija. She was wandering around with two locals in a bus with no protection around the tribal areas. She would have been a walking target, frankly.
तो उधर से दो मोटरसाइकिल वाले आए हैं, उनके पास क्लैशनकोपें भी थी। एक जो बंदा था उनका, वो आगे आ गया और उसके आगे मिसाइल लगा हुआ था। उसने कहा गाड़ी रोक दो वरना गाड़ी को उड़ा देंगे।
Khadija was crying. I saw tears in her eyes, and she was like angry also. She had the camera and other devices which they couldn't understand, like what are they used for? The kidnappers believe that she might be some spy working for probably NATO or the American troops. And one of the guy, he said that if we are proven guilty, they'll just behead us.
और जो बंदे हमें आके वो बैठे हुए थे हमें कमरे में, वो एक एक बंदा आके हमें देखता था और कहता था बस अब इनकी गर्दनें उतारेंगे, अब इनकी गर्दनें उतारेंगे।
The kidnappers phoned me at home and put Bev on the line. Bev was very upset. I was in shock. But I did the best I could to try and get from Bev what was really going on, and I also tried to calm her down. They wanted certain demands to be made that were totally impossible to fulfill. I phoned the RCMP to let them know I had received the call.
Khadija said that nobody is going to pay $2 million for her because she had no direct family and she's not some biggie in a government organization, or she's not a very well-known journalist. So for her, they were like just crazy demands.
तो उन्होंने कहा अगर आप आम हैं तो आप फिर आई क्यों हैं इधर? तो उन्होंने कहा बस मैं तो इधर आपका इंटरव्यू लेने के लिए आई हूँ और आपके लिए मदद करने के लिए आई हूँ। उसने कहा जी आप हमारी मदद करने के लिए नहीं हैं, आप जासूस हैं अमेरिका की।
Probably within hours, the Canadian government would have been in touch with the Pakistani Foreign Ministry about the matter.
A story appeared on the wires that a Vancouver businesswoman had been kidnapped in Pakistan or Afghanistan. We weren't quite sure which. I began looking into Bev Giesbrecht and her background, and it became a passionate interest of mine in trying to find out what happened to Beverly Giesbrecht.
This one in North Waziristan, which has been a very dangerous place actually for any number of years and getting more dangerous as time went on, and the thought occurred, boy, this is going to be a difficult one to work out.
Khadija told us that Shah Abdulaziz is her guarantor, he's the protector. We knew that the moment we will call him, he will take the responsibility and he'll say that yes, she's my sister and she's in Pakistan under my protection. The guy who was probably the elder there, he called Shah Abdul Aziz. He said that we have Khadija in our custody with two other men. Now, do you know her or not? He said that I'm not in a position to give any assurance about her, that what her actual agenda and what her actual purpose is. She was like completely broken out of that. Completely broken.
She was able to contact me by telephone. But I was being contacted also by the kidnappers, the militants. And they were informing me of their demands. The demands kept changing. So I then conveyed this information to the government. I also conveyed it to the Canadian embassy in Pakistan.
Glenn, it's me. There's a whole lot of things going on here. All this big mess happening. Please help me. I need you to call right away. Thanks.
The only contact number that she had in her mind was that of Glenn Cooper, and that was the only person we called initially.
The RCMP would actually come to his house and be part of these phone calls and these attempts at communicating with the kidnappers.
They basically indicated that they would be handling the situation and that they would provide me with guidance on how we should get through this.
I remember it was late evening when some of their guys, they were like new faces, they entered the room with the camera and everything. Then she was given the script that you have to like say these particular things.
I was kidnapped by the Taliban the second time I went to Bannu. The Taliban are making demands, and I need the Canadian Embassy and the Pakistan Embassy and every other human rights organization to contact the Taliban as soon as possible, because I'm going to lose my life.
To me, that was an 80-year-old woman or a 90-year-old woman. That was not the Bev that I remembered 10 months earlier in Vancouver.
I am a Canadian citizen. I have a company in Canada called Data Crafter Services. It's a publishing company. It is freezing cold. I have pneumonia. I am very sick, and I need someone to help me. The demands of the Taliban are $2 million to release me.
The lines that we were hearing from the Department of Foreign Affairs appeared to be just that. There didn't seem to be much progress being made, and from the point of view of some of her friends, much interest being paid in the case of Beverly Giesbrecht.
But what you have to look at in these kinds of matters is not what the government says in the front room, is what it's prepared to do in the back rooms.
तो उसने उल्टा मुझे भी मारना शुरू कर दिया था. उसने कहा क्यों तुम इनके साथ अंग्रेज़ों के साथ क्यों काम करते हो? इन्होंने हमारे भाई बच्चे सब मारे हुए हैं. ये भी तो अंग्रेज़ ही है ना.
There were some secret burns on her body, and he used to throw cold water at her and treat her really badly. The guy said that Canada is fighting in Afghanistan. We cannot keep her as a guest, and we cannot treat her well. It's our time to take the revenge, and we should be treating her the same way as they are treating our captors.
वो हमें सामने उन जो उनके जो बड़े थे उनके सामने नहीं मारते थे, तो वो हमेशा मुझे और इस मैडम को बाहर लेके आते थे, तो काफ़ी दूर जहाँ आवाज़ ना आए तो उस पे उसको मारते भी थे.
The time is now very short and my life is going to end. So I need someone to help me. Either the Pakistani government or my own country. Somebody's got to move now because my life is going to be over. I want to go home. I've been in captivity too long now, and I'm going to be killed.
जी यही हुआ था कि वो रिकॉर्डिंग वो बनाते थे कि भाई अब ये आहिस्ते आहिस्ते बात पुरानी होती जा रही है तो पाकिस्तान गवर्नमेंट भी कुछ नहीं कर रही तो अब ये नई फिल्म इनके लिए भेजें ताकि इनको तरस आ जाए और ये इसको छुड़ा के ले जाएं.
I haven't done anything wrong, and the Taliban want their demands met. So I'm pleading with you, please save my life, spare me.
Watching that video crystallized the moment where I started to realize this is a Canadian citizen. Forget her past, forget anything about her background, about why she's there. This is clearly somebody who needs help. And she should get the same kind of assistance that any Canadian in a similar situation would get.
It's Bev calling. I need you to call me right back. I have some important information. Please call me right now on this phone. Thanks.
With subsequent calls, you could tell that she was beginning to lose it. Her composure wasn't there as it used to be. Her strength wasn't there. This was not the Bev that I knew.
मैं अपनी गलती मानती हूँ क्योंकि मैंने गलती अगर ना की होती तो तुम दोनों भी मेरे साथ ना होते. तो आज इसकी पढ़ाई का मसला है, तुम्हें अपने बच्चों का मसला है.
Her health was deteriorating day by day. She couldn't digest the local food and she couldn't even drink the local water.
The Taliban kidnappers were also getting desperate. This amount of ransom which they were demanding was getting reduced. One of the phone calls I got was that, look, we have spent so much money on her treatment, her security, her care, her food, along with her translator and driver. So at least we need to recover that money which we have already spent. If somebody had offered her $5,000, I believe they would have released her.
It's Bev. Please call us back as soon as possible after 1 hour. We're going to save the battery 1 hour from this time. Thank you.
After I had last talked to her in August, I never heard from her again, and neither did the RCMP.
She made a phone call to me. She told me that she's dying. She's seriously ill. She feels abandoned. And, I thought that maybe this is the end of Khadija. She may not call me again. Somehow I think that, the kind of help which the Canadian government could have given to Khadija was not forthcoming.
I talked to people locally there, to members of the Canadian security services. It didn't seem that there was any practical way that one could do anything. The whole process of paying proved to be unworkable because nobody could really be trusted. My understanding is that attempts were made by the Canadian government, but they were unreliable.
We went, I did what I could. I met with these Pakistani cabinet ministers. And then I followed up with them, and I took what I knew and I turned that over to Canadian authorities.
When I was released, I didn't see a single statement from any of the government official and nothing from the Canadian High Commission also. Even when I visited the Canadian High Commission, I didn't see any activity going for her release.
The Foreign Affairs Department is acknowledging for the first time that a journalist from British Columbia who was kidnapped in Pakistan is probably dead. Beverly Giesbrecht was in the region writing stories sympathetic to the Taliban.
Taliban, in the end, realized that they would not get paid any amount of money for her release. So it's possible that they stopped caring for her. And when she died, All they have to do is just bury her somewhere. We don't know where she's buried.
This is one of the more interesting documents generated by the RCMP months after Beverly Giesbrecht had died. Over the 2 years of her captivity, the ransom demands from the kidnappers varied from 2 million to 100,000 Pakistani rupees. That's just $1,200 Canadian.
Beverly's life was worth the same as everybody else's, and the government should reflect that in all of the actions that it took. Because somebody acts stupid in your own country, you don't kick them outside of your society. You stay and you deal with them, and when they might act stupid in a foreign country, you still have a responsibility to assist them.
If they've already been involved and it's been negotiated down to a lousy $1,200, they should have phoned me because I would have paid it.
Interestingly, the Department of Foreign Affairs continued to say that it was doing all that it could for Beverly Giesbrecht, even after they were well aware that she had died. This is the result of asking the Department of Foreign Affairs and International Trade what lessons it learned as a result of the failure to secure Beverly Giesbrecht's release. And what came back was an absolute refusal to release any one of the 46 pages that were identified as being part of this report. The Canadian government has been virtually silent. They've just wanted this case to go away in terms of the public knowing what was done or what was not done. It's not something the government is letting go of easily. People have a right to know, what can your government do for you if you're in that kind of a situation, even one of your own design, even one that you're responsible for?
I was disappointed that we were unable to bring her back, but I felt that we'd done our best against long odds, and Canadians should be really proud about the effort that was invested. And that's really all I have to say.
I don't doubt that the situation was difficult and that Canadian officials had their hands tied, that there wasn't very much that they could do. But I think then there comes a time when I think honesty and accountability are important, especially when we're talking about a woman who paid with her life.
Bev was my buddy. We were many things, business partners, lovers, but nothing came close to the fact that we were buddies for decades. The very last thing I said to Bev when I was sitting in that RCMP van talking to her over satellite radio phone was that I loved her. Those were the last words I ever said to her.